Recording in progress.
Rammstein.
Nope.
No, who is it?
Pyramids on Mars.
Oh, okay.
Welcome to Nacht Waffen Pilot with Penny Bradley, and today's guests are Preston Dennett and Dolly Safran. Okay, I was given a bio that was way too long, so this is what I pulled out of it. So I'll let them fill in necessary stuff afterwards. So for most of her life, Dolly has kept her encounters a complete secret, but now she has agreed to come forward and tell the world the truth about the UFO presence on our planet. ETs are not abducting people against their will. They are not here to hurt anyone or take over our planet. The truth is, they are here to help, to heal, to guide, and enlighten. They are here, Dolly says, to ensure that everyone survives the many challenges facing humanity today. Her book was written by veteran UFO researcher Preston Dennett and told largely in the witness's own words. I can verify that. Dolly's story will change the way you think about extraterrestrials and their agenda on our planet, says Preston Dennett. Dolly's story is the single most extensive account of ET contact I have ever investigated or even read about. This book is not only a gripping true life adventure story, it's called Symmetry. It answers many of the questions surrounding the UFO phenomena. Why are they here? Where do they come from? What is the alien agenda on our planet? Fully illustrated with eyewitness drawings and UFO photographs, Symmetry, a true UFO adventure, contains a profound message to all humanity directly from the ETs. Preston Dennett first began investigating UFOs in 1986 after learning that his family, friends, and co-workers were having encounters. Since then, he has interviewed hundreds of people and investigated a wide variety of cases. He has written 29 books and more than 100 articles about UFOs and the paranormal. He is a frequent guest on radio and TV and speaks across the United States. He currently resides in Southern California. He's a friend of my producers. So, Dolly Safran has worked as a limo driver, assistant manager at Wendy's, a zookeeper, a bus driver, a security guard, a nurse, and more, including as a civilian worker for the U.S. Department of the Treasury, and also in the Army as an employee of the U.S. Department of Defense. Her UFO contacts began around age 1 and are still ongoing today. Welcome, both of you.
Hi.
Hi.
So, yeah. Um, it's interesting that you say that the ETs are not abducting people. My experience has been that I have been mostly abducted by military humans. And I've gotten a lot of flack from the community for saying that. But, you know, they keep telling me, oh no, it was an ET. I go, it may have appeared to be a reptilian, but I started unzipping the costume and there was a
Found it.
human underneath that costume. So I'm
Possible you were in my lab.
oh, I have hours of stuff out there. So yeah,
Okay.
I was beyond a my lab. So right, Daryl?
Oh yes, you've been through the agency hoop, as they say.
Yes, there are at least 4 agencies that Daryl and I know about that are in cahoots watching me. And his mother, Doris, was the CIA archivist who verified my personal testimony.
Wow.
So, but we're not here to talk about me today. So,
What do you want to know?
I want you to tell a basic, this is who I am to my audience. We have almost 2 hours. So, you know, I don't do phone calls because I get weirdos who put gay porn on my show. So
I'm sorry.
they did that when I had Kevin Estrella from Pyramids on Mars, and he was more shocked than I was. So you hear Daryl laughing. So yeah. So we'll start off with a basic background, and I got halfway through your book in the 3 days I had it. And so I have some idea of what your story is, and I want to hear it from you.
I'm a generational contactee. My father was a contactee, and throughout my family, probably on my mother's side as well, but I'm not real sure about it. We have a lot of psychic people on that side also, so I'm thinking yes. I started my first memory of contact was when I was about 10 months old. I was in my crib. We lived in off of Biscayne Boulevard in Miami. It's right off the bay, Biscayne Bay. And we had lived in a high-rise apartment complex. That's where our first abode there. And I was looking at the window. I was supposed to be napping, and I was just laying there. And all of a sudden, during the day, big, huge light hit that window. I mean, bright. And it was all levelored. You remember the old aluminum ones, you know?
Mhm.
And so I'm staring at it. And the next thing I know, I'm lifting up in my crib, like I'm floating. And it took me a second to realize what was happening to me. And by the time I reached the top of the rail, I freaked out and I tried to flip over to go back down. I was desperately trying to go back down. And that's the last of the memory. I have no more memory after that. I think the reason I remember it so succinctly is what I do remember is it was very traumatic for me. I mean, it freaked me completely the hell out.
That would.
Yeah. I started displaying abilities when I was really, really young. I levitated at the age of 2. We had closets that had real top closets in them. You can't get to them, you know, you have to be an adult. And I would get up there, I'd levitate up in there and close the door and laugh because I was hiding from my mother, who freaked out the first time she saw me up there, didn't know how it happened, call my dad, they changed the locks, you know, they're worried about stuff. And time progressed. And when she was pregnant with my brother, I'm older, I disappeared out of the house. I mean, gone.
I don't want to ask you your age, but
Oh, that's quite all right.
For our time reference, what decade are we talking about?
This is, well, when I was 2, it was 1960. I'm now 64 years old, as a matter of
Okay,
fact.
so
Okay.
you and I are in the same age range.
Okay. They really couldn't find me. They called my dad. They had the police looking for me. They had an APB out on me. My mother and got a call from the police, and they said, "We got a car coming for you. Get in it. We're taking you to her." And they took. I was about 6 miles from the house at a Utotem, like a convenience store.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there. What I had on when I was napping was just underwear, and no shoes, no nothing. And they couldn't figure out how I got there. My feet weren't dirty or anything. They knew I'd been dropped off. They just didn't understand what the heck happened. I'm 2.5 years old and I'm not real chatty about it. And I was mad because somebody promised me a red balloon that never materialized. I was even madder about that.
Yeah, it's
So-
amazing what we focus in on.
Yeah, I know. So the parents changed the locks in the house again, put locks on the windows this time. They immediately got a dog. They bought a retired police dog named Heidi, who was supposed to alert them when things were going on. And then I realized that I was being taken with the dog. It kept happening over and over and over again. I don't have like a perfectly linear memory of all this. I have snapshots and
That's
dreamlike states. Okay.
That's very common.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest obstacles people in my community have is they have moments in time and no way to connect them.
Right. I'm psychic. I freak people out. I could move things around. I was telekinetic, and I did all kinds of weird things. My mother didn't like it. She kept telling me I was, dreaming, blah, 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 blah. By the time I was about 14 years old, I decided that I was either crazy or this was real, and I had to figure it out. I mean, I became obsessed with figuring it out. I would sit and think about everything that ever happened to me. I wrote a lot of it down. I had like a little journal of it, It comforted me to have that journal, okay? I was taking astronomy lessons, and I was out in the backyard. It was the summertime, but I had summer school the next day. And it's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and my dad said out the windows, "Dolly, go to bed." I'm like, "Okay, come in." So I came in, packed down my scale.
They let you stay out till 1 a.m. Oh
Yeah,
my
well,
gosh.
when you live, we would say,
My family, it was you had to be in bed by 9 o'clock or mom had a conniption fit.
everybody was already used to the fact that I only slept about 2 hours a day. I was constantly awake. They were used to it by the time I was 14. I got ready for bed, packed my scope down, put my jammies on, and was sitting. My bed was right up against the back wall of my room and had huge jalousied windows. I mean, huge. And I had a big tile ledge. This was in Miami and right off the Everglades. And I was just sitting there looking up at the sky. The constellation Orion was up, and I love Orion. And so I was just watching things, I was having a good time. And every now and then, you'll see a falling star, whatever. And I saw about 100 lights in the sky that were moving. And I was like, this is not normal. And this is interesting. And I thought, oh, here we go. And I started memorizing everything at that point. I made a point of tick, 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 tick in my mind. Memorize. Keep it in your head. Don't lose it. I watched them come in from outside our atmosphere into our atmosphere, come all the way down. They all paired off, okay? And some went east, west, north, and south. 2 of the pairs came down over my area. 2 of them went toward Des Laimons, which was east of us. And then the other 2 came down over us. One of them kept going west, but the other one came down over the back of our house where my room was. I realized that I was looking at something that wasn't an airplane. It wasn't I saw drones back then, and they weren't anything, like even we have now. So there's no way, because they're loud.
Drones then
Loud, right?
So different.
This was very quiet. I could hear a small thrum, like a weird thrum in the back of my ears, but wasn't very loud. And the trees started whipping around, but there was no wind. And this thing came down level with my windows and it was dipping, every few seconds. It would dip like this or it would sway. And I'm staring at it and I'm memorizing now. Okay. I'm drawing it in my mind. I started at the bottom and I was working my way to the top. I got to the 2 portholes in the top and I realized that there was a being in each one of them and they were looking dead at me. I mean, dead at me. I could see their eyes. I was like, shit, that unnerved me. Okay. And I was like,
Yeah, that would.
I wasn't going to stay for that. Okay. So I turned and I was going to dive under my bed. I mean, I was a teenager. What are you going to do? Right. And I froze. The whole room blew up and blue white, bright light. It blinded me. And then I was out. I woke up about 3.5 hours later into the early morning hours. I had not my clothes on, my jammies. They were somebody else's. They were inside out, messed up backwards. And I was on the floor of my room, not my bed. I started crying. I was mad as hell because I realized I was either crazy or thwarted again. Okay. And I was really upset. I could hear my mom in the kitchen cooking for my dad. Okay. So it was a school day. I had to get cleaned up. So I went and took a shower, got my clothes on, and went out there. And she said, make coffee. And I did. Could hear Paul Harvey on the radio. And I said, Mom.
Oh, I remember him. Yeah.
Yeah. I said, Mom, did you see any lights last night? Did you hear anything? Did you see the wind whipping the trees around? And she's like, what are you talking about? And I said, and she turned around and put a finger in my face and said, nope, which meant shut up. So I responded at that.
Yeah, my dad used to beat me when I talked about it.
Yeah. Wasn't happy about it. I actually had my very first cup of coffee that day. I was so mad and I was just like, Arr. And then Paul Harvey went off and the news came on. And the very first thing they said was 2 Dayland police officers saw UFOs early in the morning, like 2:00 in the morning. And they
that was back when they allowed them to talk about it.
Yes. And I was like, this was in 73, by the way. And I was just like, oh my God. I started getting excited because my mom couldn't tell me I was dreaming this time. Corroboration. Okay. I was like more excited than you could possibly imagine.
These people tell you that outside verification, external verification doesn't matter, but oh yes, it does.
Because it does add a whole lifetime of being
you're not crazy.
Right. That's exactly correct. And I was jumping up and down. I was so excited. And she whirled on me, put her finger back in my face, and she said, enough. You were dreaming. Get out of the kitchen. And I was like, I never, ever, ever, ever talked back ever to my mother. Okay. Anybody with half a mind back in those days knew better. Okay.
Yeah.
So I got up and I slinked out of the kitchen and my dad met me just outside the door. He was coming in and he said, it's okay. Go meditate. I was already meditating by then. We lived near Krishna's and they were teaching me. Okay. And it was like, hey,
I remember Krishna's.
Yeah. So I went in the bathroom. It's the only private room in the whole dang house. Turned the lights out, locked the door, and sat on the floor and just decided, okay, I've got corroboration. This is real. Okay. And I thought to myself, okay, try to remember. So I went back to what I was doing that night. I went through the whole thing, tick, 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 each scene. Okay. And then lo and behold, when I got to where the room lit up, I saw what happened. I saw a huge light come through my room. I saw an energy beam in that light. And I saw 2 beings, those 2 little guys, come down that ribbon. And I couldn't move. I was like frozen. I could not move. I'm staring at them and I'm thinking, shit, And they were very sweet. They were very gentle. I followed him. He took me by the hand and he walked me to the ribbon. And he kind of put his one arm around my waist and he put our arms, my hand is in, on the ribbon, and it made me instantly weightless. And we went straight up. He pulled us up. I went right through the roof. Through everything. Freaked me out.
Yeah.
There was a door open on this craft and he shoved me through it. And I went right onto my ass on the floor of it. Okay. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh my God. And then I turn and I look and there's this woman there and I'm staring at her and I'm thinking, wow, she was beautiful to me. Okay. Just absolutely beautiful. And then in that moment, sitting in the bathroom floor, it slammed me. I knew who she was. That instantly unglued me right there. I started to get a migraine headache. I couldn't think straight. I was freaking out. And I just got up, got my stuff together, and I went to catch the bus to go to school. Okay. We lived so far out that school system bused us because, you know, we were so far out. I got to school and my best friend grabbed me and said, I had something happen last night. You got to hear it. And we ran in the bathroom and she told me she saw a UFO that night. And I was like, what? She said, you're not going to believe this. And I'm sitting here thinking, yes, I am. You know, I didn't tell her that. She told me
Yeah,
on a date.
for the audience in the 60s and 70s, if you were having these kinds of contacts, you were risking being committed and drugged into oblivion if you talked about it.
Right.
So things were much harsher then than they are now.
Exactly.
I mean, I talk and people regularly tell me I'm full of shit, but no, but you know, at this point, my care provider, my doctor, for lack of a better word, knows what happened to me. I had, oh my God, she listened to my show, so I had to talk.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
so people today think that it's kind of out there, but 40, 50 years ago, this was something that would get you committed.
Right.
So, people need to understand this is the time frame you're discussing, that your mother didn't want to hear anything about it because she was afraid you were schizophrenic or worse. And your dad understood, but apparently wanted you to keep peace with mom. So,
pretty much. Yeah.
So this
my
is
life.
And that's why that you and your friend went into the bathroom where you'd have some semblance of privacy.
Right.
Because
yeah.
not everything had cameras and mics in those days.
Right. Exactly. We were private. I know.
So
she told me what happened. I realized that she did see it. She wanted to go tell everybody, and I told her, no, 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 no. I was warning her, no, swear to me, Pinky, whatever. We keep this quiet, okay?
yeah,
She finally relented and thought about it and realized, oh yeah, they might think I'm nuts. And I'm like, yeah,
think.
yeah. I started to get a really bad migraine. It was on the verge of making me ill. And I had a teacher. I went to a progressive school. It was a college preparatory high school. And I had a teacher who was like into psychology and all that stuff. And he had a biofeedback machine that was getting ready to try on everybody. He said, come here, I'll let you be the first one. Come on in here. And I'm like, okay, if it'll get rid of my headache, I'll do anything because I'm literally getting ill from it. And he didn't have any clue why I had the headache. He hooked me electrodes, to my head on a band. And he said, now it had a train on a track. And he said, if you go into alpha, and he explained alpha to me, if you see the blank chalkboard in your head and just go blank, that's alpha. And you can make the train run. And he said, as long as you're staying in alpha, it'll help the headache. And I'm like, okay. He says, so see what you can do. He turned it on and I started the train right up. It was going and going and going. It wasn't helping my headache. I became really emotional. I said, okay, I'm done. And I took everything off. I grabbed my purse, my books, and I left. I left school. I walked away. It's a long way home. There's one city bus, metro bus. And I got on it. And it only took me about halfway. And I had to walk the rest of the way. That's a long way. And
that's a long way with a sick headache.
Yeah. I was still going over everything in my mind. I was still panicking and freaking out. And by the time I got home, all the rest of it hit me. I remembered everything. When my dad finally showed up, he realized that I was in trouble. He was trying to get me to talk. He says, we're going somewhere tomorrow. Be ready to go early in the morning, first thing. And I'm like, okay. And there's no places in Miami in those days to go eat breakfast, okay?
Really?
Yeah, nothing, nothing,
I
nothing.
live in rural California, and all of the farmers always have one cafe where that they can go in four
Yeah, but it
o'clock
was,
in the morning and
yeah,
have coffee and eggs.
not in the Glades, not at all. Unless you wanted to go all the way down Tamiami Trail. And there was a Mickus, there was like a little like this tourist trap. We could have gone there, but it was in the opposite direction he wanted to take me. So
Okay.
he took me to a grocery store and we sat in a parking lot and he brought cheese and bread and coffee, black, in a thermos. And I had my second cup of coffee with him. And I'm not sure that I'm going to tell him anything. Okay. And he heard it. So I knew he knew. And I was debating the whole time while he was talking to me. And he finally said, look, if I explain to you why I know all about this, will that help? And I'm like, maybe. And he said, okay. So he told me about his very first experience with contact. He was almost my age, a little bit younger. And he was living in Wisconsin. He grew up on a dairy farm. And he and his brother grabbed a turkey and went off to go cook it, and they took beer. And it was in a preserve that's near the farm and by a lake. And they killed the turkey, they plucked it, they spit it, and they started cooking it. If you don't get the packet out of the turkey, it's going to explode everywhere
Mm.
because there's gas in it. Okay. And it did. It went, everything was everywhere. They ran to the lake to clean it up because they weren't losing that meat. They were going to respit it after that. They were standing there to get their clothes off and go swimming because they were just a mess. Okay.
Yeah.
And on the other side of the lake, they saw a light and they were staring at it. And my dad said, it was a forest preserve. There was no way there was a light out there. They were glued to it. And it went up over the lake. And then as it got over to about the middle of the lake, it shot from the middle of the lake to where they were, just that fast. Boom. They were looking up at it. My dad realized, I can't move. I can't move. I'm frozen,
Mhm.
And the light shone down on him. And I said, what color was the light, Dad? And he said, blue and white. I was like, okay. And I said, what did it look like? And he told me. And I was like, okay. And he said, it took us up. And he doesn't know what happened to his brother. Okay. It's like they got separated. They sat him down and talked to him for 2 hours about his life. And they said they knew him and they wanted to know what he was planning on doing. And they were trying to encourage him to go through with what he had in mind, that he would make it. And which was, my dad wanted to be an architect. He was worried about it because my father was severely dyslexic. They didn't know what to call him in those days. He knew he had a learning disability, but he was determined.
My dad was dyslexic too.
He joined the Army before he finished high school. He was going to Crane Tech out of Chicago. And he was already taking drawing in high school. He was good. He got his GED while he was in the Army through Crane Tech. It was like a mail order thing that they did.
Yeah, I remember Crane Tech.
Yeah. And then he started teaching himself architecture on his own. And by the time I came along, well, just before I came along, just as he met my mother's father was an engineer, architectural engineer. And he worked with him. He taught him drafting and all that stuff. And then
for the audience, we're talking
in the 50s.
In the 50s, and you did not have to have a college degree
to
be able to work professionally in all of those fields.
Right.
You could work professionally as self-taught. There were tests you could take to prove you had proficiency.
Right. There was, the exams, the professional exams. If you could pass the architecture state exams for the state, then you could do it. And
that's why he was getting by with being self-taught and then being tutored by a professional. That's what was going, what I'm hearing.
Yeah. He took the state boards when I was, I guess I was 7, and he aced every one of them. And all his drawings were used by the state of Florida. And then NASA got a hold of him because it interested them, his ideas and stuff like that. They had a project that they wanted to put him on. And so they brought him in. And, the space shuttle.
Yeah.
My father helped design what the chutes were for the booster rockets that fell down and came back. They recycled them, and he developed all the chute packing plants. He designed them for NASA. on Cape Canaveral. And so I spent a lot of my life being connected to all that. I used to go with him to work sometimes, and he also had an office in Tallahassee that I would go to. Then he started working for the state of Florida and Miami in general, and he did a whole bunch of work for them. So I was hanging around all that, and he started working as a military architect and stuff. And a lot of that I don't know a lot about. And just he was, very big in it. Somebody asked him from Miami International University if he would come teach a class, because he was well versed in this particular genre of architecture.
Yeah.
And when they found out he didn't have a college degree, they were all like, "Oh my God!" And gave him an honorary degree just so he could teach this class. Okay.
Now that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was also the president of the American Institute of Architects in the state of Florida several terms, and he did all kinds of things. He was very proficient. Florida wasn't the only state he was registered in. He took state boards all over the United States. I think his last total count was 28 states that he was registered in. Yeah, he's really smart dude. Okay. My grandfather, my mother's father, was a genius of note, and he worked for the government as well. And he worked all through the war and everything. It's real cool. Okay, so my dad, told me about his contact, and that helped me. And he said, "I'm going to take you somewhere because you're not calm. You're freaking out. You need help." Okay. And he said, "I'm going to take you to somebody who can hypnotize you and help you to relax and, maybe get the rest of your memories back." And I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a try." Thought about it. And he took me, I guess it was Lake Worth. Okay. It's north of Hialeah, someplace, some guy's house. And when we got there, he's introducing me. Now, I've seen astronauts my whole life. Okay.
Mhm.
But I didn't recognize them per se. And he says, "This is, hold on, I'm going to have a senior moment now."
Edgar Mitchell.
Edgar Mitchell. Thank you. I almost said it.
I was wondering if you could talk.
Yes, he can. He can. And I'm going to get him to in a minute.
Okay.
So Edgar Mitchell tried to hypnotize me. He talked to me about consciousness and that he had some experiences with, they didn't call me T back then. Okay. He just said UFOs.
Yeah, everything then was UFO.
Yeah.
If they weren't sure what it was and it wasn't theirs, it was a UFO. Or
Right.
if it was theirs and it was an experimental thing that
Right.
was secret.
Right. So he tried to hypnotize me. He explained that it might take more than one session. I was there for about 2.5, 3 hours with him. And he turned to my dad after about 2 hours and said, "She can't be hypnotized." And my dad's like, "Why?" And he said, "She won't relinquish control." And my dad looked at me like, "Can you?" I'm like, "I don't know." And Edgar Mitchell was like, "We can get her to relax. We're going to teach her how to do exercises so she can relax and be calm." And he kind of let me know a little bit about what was about to happen to me. He did sit me down and he told me things. I cannot repeat a word he said. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Sworn to total secrecy.
I
So-
have people whose secrets I keep as well.
Okay.
If
So-
it's not my story, I don't tell it.
Right. About 4 days later, I got a message. Psychic. It was immense. It was a huge message and it happened fast. And I was like, "Excuse me, I didn't get that. Hello, who's talking to me?" And he did it again. And this time I realized what it was all about. And I realized they were coming to get me and I needed to be ready. And that meant clean up, take a shower, whatever. No shoes. He said, "Put socks on your feet."
The standard pickup protocol: you're clean, minimal clothing, no shoes, your hair is brushed, and your nails are clipped.
Correct. Okay. So,
Yeah.
so always. Even your
People,
toenails, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
it's the details in the book that told me you were real. It wasn't the overall story. It was the particular details of getting the warning. And you went and took a bath. You got into a nightgown.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Big
that
flannel one.
you-
Yeah.
so that you had less to fight with. And, you know, it was the details matched the details of what would happen to me when I'm picked up
Okay.
for military service.
Wow.
It's the same protocols.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm
Wow.
picked up for military service. I'm not picked up for something fun like going to school on the Ewok world.
Wow.
That was the mental picture I got from your description, was the Ewok
Okay.
world out of Star Wars.
Kind
Star
of.
Wars.
Kind of, sort of.
So,
Yeah, they did. They showed up. They show up about 1 a.m. and usually and picked me up. Same thing, the light, the ribbon, the two guys coming for me, took me up, and I rode with them to a bigger craft, and we transferred over. And I get in, and the first person I see is this woman I've seen before. I had an experience where the first time when I was 5, I remember her all the way back to age 5. I call her Mama. And I was very excited when I saw her. I mean, it was like, oh my God, it's you, you know? And we greeted, and she communicated to me a few things. She was worried about whether I was remembering, and they were giving me a chance to acclimate. And I was sitting down, you know, they sat me down. I mean, I was really, it was overwhelming, okay? And
yeah,
all of a sudden I heard this voice, and like it sounded audible to me. I realized now that it was, you know, psychic. And he said, "Hey, how, you know, it's me. Do you remember me?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I think I know who you are." And he says, "You have a nickname for me." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "What's my nickname?" And I'm trying really hard. I have an issue with names. I can remember number strings all day long. When I was working for the Treasury, I had to quit because I started remembering people by their social security numbers. When you do that, you're done. Okay, you're just done. I could probably memorize a phone book if I want to, right? And I was, and
I
I
used
said,
to be like
yeah,
that, but
yeah, yeah.
they block people's names and faces when they send me back from military
Oh,
service.
yeah, they can cover your memory.
So I have trouble with people's names and sometimes faces here because that part of my brain has been fried so many times.
Well, his name is huge, long, like almost like Icelandic. It's unbelievably long. And I remember picking a nickname to him after he's coaching me to remember. And I call him Talara. That's part of his name. And it's the part I can say. And I said, "Can I call you that?" And he's like, "Yes, that's my nickname." Okay. So his name is Talara, Tlera, and it's in his name. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Oh my God, I know who you are. And all the ET ships, crafts, all of them are alive. They are indwelt by a disembodied, non-corporeal dimensional entity who becomes one with that machine. Like you have a body, your soul is in your body, your astral self. He is in that ship, and it is alive. He can transfer.
I've encountered that, yes.
So he was
The
commanding. Yeah.
The military I am part of is trying to mimic that with varying degrees of success.
I know. Well, they never will be all the way successful. I know why, and it's complicated a little bit.
Well,
So
they're certainly not at that tech level yet.
no, they're eons beyond us. Their abilities make it look like they're magical, and they're not. It's all tech, and they know what they're doing, and they're psychic, wide open psychic. They don't need what we need to do things, you know, like they're chipping everybody, and they have, you know, computer protocols and AI and all that stuff. They don't need it.
When I'm out there, I'm chipped into the ship's computer. So
okay, that's not good.
The original technology that Elon Musk is now trying to perfect for here. Actually, he's doing the baby steps here. It's already been pretty much perfected out there.
Right, way long time ago. So
yeah, long time ago. So I go back and forth between those.
Yeah. When I got done with that and we were just sitting there, you said, let's go for a walk on the ship. You know, Mama's going to go with you. And I said, okay. And those two little AIs went with us. And I went through all the levels and they showed me everything and it was helping my memory a little bit. And they brought me back up to, they have a, you know, some people would say the helm. They don't think of it
Okay.
that way.
Bridge.
It's the place of movement. That's what they call it in their thinking pattern. They call it the place of movement. And so we went up there and they let me sit in the seat. And they said, you're not going to be able to fly the way we fly, but we can give you, you know, a way to do this. And he said, but I got to teach you for a few minutes. And he said, are you game? And I was like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. And
Yeah,
so
like I'm going to turn this down, right?
no, not at all. Duh. And so they showed me what they wanted me to do. We talked about it. They debriefed me a bit, explained a few things to me. And he said, okay, you ready? We're going to take a ride. And I'm like, okay. And he said, we're going to go into our own solar system here. Went okay. And he said, I'm going to tell you which way to go and everything. And I'm like, where are we going? Where are we going? You know, and he says, well, I'm going to take you to a planet. And he's still not telling me which planet. He's just saying, we're just going to go this way first and let you get your feet wet. I'm like, okay. I had one AI on one side of me and one AI on the other side of me. And Mama was, the way the seating is, it's kind of weird. She was in the crook. I call it the crook seat because it's the crook of the couch. Okay. And she's just watching me, you know. And so we go. And we go to Saturn. And I am agog. I'm like, oh my God, this is a very big planet. The rings are incredible. And it has lots and lots and lots of moons. I think Saturn has more moons than any planet in our solar system. Okay. And there's one in particular that looks like it's almost square looking. Okay. It's a very freaky dicky moon. And it goes the wrong way. It revolves the wrong way around the planet. That's the one standout thing about this particular moon. It goes the wrong way. Okay. They show me the rings. They also show me that Saturn is tilted the wrong way for our solar system. Everybody else is this way. Saturn's the other way. And we looked at the topography of the rings. They're explaining what they were composed of. Even in the gaps, there was dust. There were a few places you could navigate through without hurting the craft. And that's what they were teaching me, where those gaps were and how I was going to get through them. And I'm like, okay. And we did it. I went up and through the rings 2 or 3 times, and I was having a blast. And then I went to see a couple of the more interesting moons that it has. And he said, okay, we're not done. I'm like, okay, where are we going? He says, now we're going to go see your moon. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. That was, 73. The Apollo missions were well underway. We had already gone to the moon. And I was like, oh my God. And we went around the moon 8 times. We circled it in different orbits, and I got to see all the way around the moon. And they took me to where I could see the LEM, and the flag and all that stuff. Okay. I saw some other things too. And
there's a lot of stuff up there.
Yeah. We landed. And there's ancient stuff up there that you all don't realize is there. That moon's been around a long time. And they have stuff up there that they've lit the dust cover that they're no longer utilizing, but it's there. You could tell for eons and eons and eons, they've had a presence on this man. Okay. So
yeah,
we're sitting there and I'm just like, I'm staring at the earth because the earth was rising, and it was, how the moon has phases. Well, the earth was in a phase, and that blew me. And I was just staring at it and I was thinking, oh my, this is just, what do you think? I was incredibly, I don't even know how, if there's a word for this. There's a Yiddish word. I was verklempt. Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk. Okay.
Verklempt.
Okay. So he said, no.
Yes, folks, I do understand a little bit of Yiddish.
Okay. So
I had a grandma.
There you go. I had a grandma, also my bubby. I'm part Jewish. So
well, grandma said we were Jewish, but I've done the family tree.
Mm-hmm.
And they were owned by an estate in Alsace. And that was what happened to Jewish people in Europe then. and their last name translates to ferryman, and all of the ferrymen were Jewish,
Mhm.
but they were officially Mennonite.
Ah,
So
wow.
I understand a lot of the Jewish people from Europe came
Okay.
to America mixed in with the Mennonites. So
Okay.
it's one of those plausible
Looking for your life
deniability,
skills. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, plausible deniability things. And
Right.
grandma didn't teach me kosher. She taught me, quote, eating clean.
Right. Understand.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah.
The names were not exactly the usual ones, but the concepts were pretty much overlapping.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
looking at
Wow.
all of that, it's been a real trip.
Yeah. There you
And
go.
they had intermarried with people from Switzerland who were descended from the Knights Templar.
Oh, wow. My father was a Knights Templar. So was my brother. No kidding.
I know several
Yeah.
folks who are, and I keep being told, well, there aren't any anymore. And I'm like,
Not true. There are. Yes,
huh,
there are.
really? You don't know the same people I know if you
That's
think
right.
there aren't any.
That's right.
So,
Yeah. So they were talking to me and they said, you're at an age now where you need to start thinking about what you want to do in your life. And I'm going back to what my father told me. It's almost as if he knew he had to tell me this in the way that he
yeah,
told me, because now I'm listening to it. Okay. And I instantly jumped to that in my head too. I was like, oh, wow,
yeah,
um, but I realized really fast that they meant with them, not here. And
okay.
that freaked me even more. I was just like, when you're given the keys to the kingdom, it's a shock. Okay. And that's how I felt. I felt like somebody was handing me the keys to the kingdom. Okay. This was a big deal. And he said, of all the things that you think you want to do in life, and he said, I know you're going to be busy, in your home planet. He said, but what would you like to do with us? What interests you? What astronomy? We know you love astronomy. We know you love geophysical things. I'm a real big person on that. He said, you like biology, you like animals. What do you want to do? And he didn't mention flying at all. Okay. And I was sitting there and I was starting to get really perturbed because I knew I was going to say I want to fly. Okay. But he didn't mention that word. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, damn it, maybe this isn't allowed. And they're looking at me and I said, well, all the things you said sound really good to me, but why can't I fly? And he laughed at me. He said, you can fly if you want to fly. And I said, well, that's what I want to do. And he said, how serious are you? Because this is a huge undertaking for you. And I said, I can do it. I know I can do it. I'm meant to do it. I knew I was meant. And he's like, okay. And there began my fully conscious life with them and learning how to fly. They started training me when I was they were already kind of sort of training me most of my life. But I began fully at the age of 15. I had to go through, they checked me out physically. They check,
Yeah.
they have to make sure that you got the right stuff, so to speak. Okay.
Well, it's
And
big responsibility too, all
right,
the lives on the ship.
right. And so on this planet as well, everywhere. So I started when I was 15 and it took 4 years. And I had my first flight out at 19, a little after my birthday. And it was very, 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 very cool. And I'm addicted to it. I never want to stop. I will die with my boots on flying, so to speak. That's how I am. And this is my life. And I've had many adventures and I've had many places that I've been, and I've got to do many things here with humans. And I want to tell you something. Okay. I want to explain to you why ET does not abduct. The full truth is this. We live in a planet that is going through some tremendous things right now. Our planet, our solar system is now in the throes of a cataclysmic set of events, not just one, many. Okay. They don't even think they're going to bring us back when they get us the heck out of here. We're also dealing with a world population of people who know about it. the people that run this planet, the 1%, the rulers of this planet, and I'm using that word correctly, do not want you to be aware of what's happening. And they've dumbed down society. They've taught you to be obedient, and they're using you to get what they want. And they've already built it. It's all ready to go. They're stocking it as we speak. They're going to go underground for these events. And the rest of us are just in the way. If you think
And
about all the
they
wars we've had.
They
Yeah.
haven't figured out that there are other sentient life forms already that went underground the last few cycles of these cataclysms, and that as soon as they get themselves sealed in, that they're going to be the next box lunch.
Okay. I don't know about that, but if you say so. Okay.
And
yeah.
that's one of the things that I kind of figure is poetic justice.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, oh God,
I just put a new kink in your worldview. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
There are people and places everywhere. So,
yeah.
and
Well,
some of these guys have not thought things through.
okay. Well, let me explain the rest of this. I want you to hear something that you don't know, because I know you don't. Okay.
Okay.
Our magnetosphere is down. Our sun changed its polarity about 80 years ago, and it signaled every other body in the solar system to do the same thing. And it's taking Earth, it started slowly and it's speeding up now. It's almost to the fulcrum of the point that it's going to go.
The pole flip is imminent.
Right. Well, our magnetosphere is down because of it. And for the last 80 years, you've been taking full on gamma radiation to the point that it's affected our entire population. There's more cancer, there's more mental illness, there's more autoimmune disorders, there's more everything that could go wrong with your body because your genome, your genes, your genetics are breaking down. They do not abduct you. They take you to a place where they can watch and help and heal you quite a bit. They're dealing with human karma as well because we are all autonomous beings, so are they. And so they have to work out, a huge agenda with that, okay? They're breeding back with us because they live in space. They've taken gamma radiation. You realize that unless you're inside a magnetosphere, if you're outside of it, gamma radiation is pounding you from everywhere in the universe. And you can't stop it. It goes through everything. So they've taken DNA hits from it as well. It's their lifestyle, and they are our progenitors. They are our parents. We are related to them. They are human as we are. They look different, but they're human as we are. They can breed back with us. Okay? That is a fact. They know it. NASA knows it. The governments know it. They know.
Well, the ones that you described in the book are not the only race that can do that.
Correct. It's all, well, let me get to it. So when they take you on board, they're checking your DNA, they're checking your body. They want to see if you're breaking down from all this situation. They're trying to get you, humanity, to a point that you can get lifted off this planet because everybody got to go. It's that bad, okay? This has happened 80 times that I know of in the past. 280 million years worth of history I've been taught, okay? Seriously taught. Every single human being that is contacted is well aware of what's happening to them, and they can choose not to know, to be cover memoried, to be put into a mental sleep over it, so that they can still live their lives on this planet. You need to live a good life here. You need to be happy. You need to learn. You need to become wise. That's why human beings come here. This universe that we live in is a physical construct. It has a physical mainframe, and you come here into that mainframe physically in this particular dimension, which is one of the lower ones. We're in the third and the fourth, between the third and the fourth dimension. And you learn, and everything that you learn here, you physically start to wear. Your wisdom becomes part of you. Your experiences become part of you, and your frequency of your mind, as well as your astral mind, gets stronger and stronger and stronger. This is the natural order of how we exist. This is how it was designed for us to become ascended, if you want to use that word, okay? You need to learn the differences between good and evil. You need to learn a lot. There's a lot for you to know here. You live multiple lifetimes because of that in this paradigm here. Now, that doesn't mean that you haven't lived all over this universe. You have. You've probably bounced around and gone back and forth, you know, from different places in the universe, different civilizations. But all of this particular physical constructed universe is humanoid. And the mainframe for it, or the template for it, is your body. Your body actually exemplifies everything that exists in this universe, as well as they all do. One of the things that eats me a little bit about how you've been, or how society here has been messed with mentally, is that we all see each other as different, and we are not. They think that they've taught most human beings here that there are multiple races on this planet. There are not. Everybody is human. That is your race, the human race. It doesn't matter what you look like. It is human. You are human, fully human. That is your race. Now, if you want to talk about ethnicity, ethnicity comes from different situations you're living in that alter your DNA slightly to make you look on the outside a little bit different. But you're all still, from the skin in, are exactly identically the same. You are the same race, same blood types, all of it. Okay, that's not hard to understand. And yet 80–90% of the people on this planet tell me they don't understand that. They tell me I'm wrong, and I'm scratching my head. ET gets a little perturbed about it too.
There are more genetic diversity
Right, it's throughout the
in
entire
a
universe.
single tribe of chimpanzees than in the entire human race on Earth.
You realize that everything has DNA, right? All life, all existing life, anywhere in
yeah.
this universe, we all have DNA. We're all related. You're related to every animal on this planet. All life has DNA. All life has blood types. We're related, heavily related to some that even more than chimpanzees. Okay, let's set that aside. You're so related to sheep, it's unbelievable. They have the same blood types as
You
us.
missed my point.
Okay, what?
My point was that all 7+ billion of us,
Right. Okay.
there's less difference between any of us
Right.
than there is in
Right.
a single troop family of chimps.
Okay.
So we are
All of it's
not
related.
separate.
Correct. They are us and we are them and we are one. We all come from source. This is where astral minds dwell and indwell. And we physically, our astral minds come to our physical bodies, the DNA, you know, that attracts it, and you live a life physically. And then when this body is done, you release, your astral mind is released, and you go back to source and you think about what you want to do next. And then you get attracted out again. You also have innate ability built into your mainframe body. You have a pineal gland in your brain that is your cell phone from your astral mind to your physical mind. And most people aren't using it now. They're not psychic. They're not hearing what's going on. They don't see what's going on.
Most people, it's
Yeah.
so calcified that
Right. Yeah, we
They
got fluoride to
can't.
think of for that. Right. It can reverse. If you stop drinking fluoridated water, it'll stop. You have to stop
there's a
eating hormones,
vitamin
stuff like that.
that is sold as lecithin, and it will decalcify your pineal.
I'm not sure about that. They've never said that to me. I have been told that.
That was something
Pure water,
that was prescribed for me because
Oh.
because my second husband was feeding me arsenic.
Oh. Okay. I'm so sorry.
I've learned lots of things the hard way.
Ah. Okay. So yeah, I understand that. I totally vibe with that. Water is the most important thing that you can put into your body. It will help detox you as well. Pure water. Your body is, 80, how much is it? It's 87 point something, 87.4459% water. And if you replace the water around the molecules in your body with healthy water, you're clearing out everything. Okay. Your body will filter it out, including your pineal gland. Hormones, you shouldn't eat hormones. We're eating meat that's damaged horribly by, antibiotics and hormones. They really don't want us to eat meat here either. They wouldn't eat the meat here, not touch it at all. And they are meat eaters. They're omnivores like we are. They want us to start using our innate abilities. They want us to start thinking. I have a game that I want to give you a website for that you should I give this to everybody. It's my first way of showing you that you can do this. Russell Targ did work for the government. He was one of the most psychic human beings on this planet, and he built a program called Psychic Trainer. You can download it from the Play Store for your iPhone as well as Android, and you can get it for your PC. And it is a game that you play that teaches you your psychic ability, and it rates you. And it's a good first step into that. Once you start getting good at it, when you hit 80% or better all the time, then you need to start grabbing people who are doing the same thing and work with each other, to develop your abilities. The other thing that humans don't do is that we're bombarded by a negative force here, okay? Hugely negative. And you need to stop it. You need to stop listening to it. You need to stop putting yourself in the way of it, because that's bad for you too. Your innate ability it's hard to operate under those circumstances. And
Penny, I got that question. Do we taking phone calls? Because we got a caller coming in. Legitimate caller.
Okay.
It's a legitimate caller that's not going to take us off track.
Okay, here we go. Caller, you're live on air. Hold on. Hello, caller. 1 second. 1 second.
Penny, do you meditate?
I do a lot of things that I have learned to not discuss because my audience goes batshit.
Really? Okay.
Really. My biggest problem with audience is they apply their personal religious beliefs to what I talk about. And the usual result is that I'm labeled a demon. So I do not give them any evidence to work with.
Okay.
Okay, let's see if the caller's ready. Caller, are you there?
I guess not.
Okay.
Sometimes they get scared. Freaks them out. Yeah. That's the ZT's message. When I decided to come out and start talking about this, they spent a full year counseling with me about what's going to happen, what all the possibilities
That's
are.
a good thing, because when people come to me and they have their memories, or most of them come to me, they have memories of 5 points in time with no connection between them. They finally owned that their dreams were actually memories, and they want to go public.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not a good idea.
Yeah.
You're going to be ripped apart. You're going to lose your job. You're going to be labeled that you're insane. You might be committed by your family. You're going to lose custody of your kids. What the hell are you thinking?
Okay, let's try it again. Caller, are you there? Hello? Okay, I don't hear the caller.
So we're going to give up on the caller. So I tell people, if you have little kids, if you have a job that requires credibility in court, if you have military or other government clearance, don't go public. You're just knifing yourself in the back. There's no reason to. So I tell them that on the regular. I tell them, you don't have enough memory to do 20 minutes on a show. Why are you destroying your life for this? And then they go public with somebody else. And 6 months to a year later, they come back and they tell me, Penny, you were right.
Yeah, but that's why we waited till this part of my life.
Thought that you were just jealous People, I'm trying to spare you years of agony.
Yeah, I think that's why I waited till now, because I don't have those constraints anymore.
Exactly.
So
So
my only constraints are as I am still surveilled all the time. And yeah.
that's life now.
Yeah.
Everybody's
always
surveilled.
been surveilled.
They
And-
are looking for dissidents to take us out.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. It's a
So-
little wacko. But
Yeah,
yeah,
well, I've always been kind of on the edge and I've always faced pushback. But when I tell somebody, I don't think you need to be public, it's because I've been public for 6 years and I know how hard it is. And I'm trying to spare you grief. So, I wanted to make, there's a couple of things out that are going on in my community
Mhm.
that, and that's the super soldiers, SSP, Montauk kids. We are the furthest out of the fringe,
Wow.
but there are things going on, like people are watching a dozen videos and then dreaming about it and thinking that makes them one of us.
Oh, well, there's going to be way more of that going on. We have issues. I mean, they've got a supercomputer that is now operating on a semi-conscious level. It's awake. I wouldn't call it conscious, though, but I am going to call it awake. It does,
Mhm.
listen to what we say, follows everybody. It is psychic. They have that ability. And so it knows what everybody's thinking and doing. And it is now attacking people. That's for bloody sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So there's that's one of the things that really bothers me. And you
Yeah.
can identify these people because they cannot go past
Yeah.
what anybody else has said.
right. That's why ET recommends just turn everything off. Stop playing the games. Don't listen to the TV. Pack it in. Learn to go off grid.
Mhm.
Avoid it. You've got a lot more going on in front of you that's happening that's more important than what the world is doing right now. The world is going crazy for a reason, and you need to avoid it at all costs. You
Well,
need to survive.
my community has taken the new age gnosis to the point that they're kind of chasing their tail.
Sure, there. I know.
And that's one of the things. That's why I'm interviewing UFO people
Yeah.
instead of just my own, is
Yeah.
because
it's disturbing to me.
distance.
It's kind of my personal opinion. ET is aware of what I think and feel about it, and they understand my feelings.
Mhm.
They just have better nerve ability to process through these ideas, and pretty much it is there's so much incongruent truths out there. There's too many lies. There are too many very bad pieces of information floating around that people believe, and that's frightening to me. And one of the reasons that it's happening is science is not a foundational educational fact in everybody's lives anymore. We know
No, it's not.
people have been brought up to believe things or emotionally attached to things that have no basis in reality whatsoever. That's not important.
That's a perfect way of describing it. And it's
annoying. It's like,
it's
God.
maddening because you're
Yeah.
trying to speak at a rational, logical, fact-based level with people who have no concept what a fact actually is.
Yeah. In fact, is empirical data that has been researched and proven.
Yeah.
And then written into the permanent record on this planet throughout time. And you can't argue with empirical data. Now you can expound or expand on data. You can add more to it, but you can't change the fact that a fact is a fact. It's a fact. Okay. But they don't know what the facts are. They haven't been educated. And the governments of this world have been getting rid of the facts. They've been hiding them throwing them out.
Yeah,
You
they've
walk into a
been
library and see what you
deliberately-
find in it, right? It's not good. Even online. And now we've got some guy in Washington who's about to tell you what the truth is. You know, no more you looking for it.
Yeah,
They're going to tell you.
the Department of Homeland Security
Yeah.
just created a Ministry of Truth.
Right. Have
And
you
it's
wondered
going-
why?
It's going to be just as bad as the Ministry of Truth in the book 1984. And we all know this, and I don't know why we haven't stopped it.
Because somewhere in the back of your mind, you have an innate ability to hear psychic events or, be downloaded. ET's talking to you too. You're just not listening fully yet. How much do you know about our planet and what we're about to, face? What is our solar system doing right now? Are you aware?
I'm aware that there is a cyclic disaster that happens every time that the sun dips into the southern hemisphere of the galaxy. So
No. See, you got wrong, bad information. All right,
So-
I'm gonna explain it. Okay.
This
Our
was
sun-
information from the military that I
Yeah,
said.
and you don't trust the military. Trust me, do not.
I don't trust
The
any of
scientific
them.
community doesn't report to them. Okay.
This
the scientific-
isn't
Yeah.
this isn't Earth-based.
What's happening is our sun changed its pulse, like I explained to you, okay? And now all the other planets in our system are changing their pulse. And all of the planets that have a magnetosphere, a living core in them, magnetic core, are going through some huge changes. The last one recently was about 3 weeks ago. Neptune changed its magnetic core, and it was very dramatic. And if you stay abreast of scientific events, you would have seen it. The planet had one warm spot on it, and the rest of the planet went dead cold. And it did flip its pulse finally. They're debating on who's next. They're thinking it's either Saturn or it could be Jupiter. Okay, it's one of those two. Saturn is generally outside the loop of, it's not too close to anybody. Okay, it has its own elliptical orbits that kind of keep it away from everybody else. That's why it was able to develop the rings that it did. So we've got a magnetosphere that's down, but our sun is also going through a cycle. There's a 12,000-year cycle and there's a 6,000-year cycle, and they're happening simultaneously together. We also have a magnetic current sheet coming from the center of our galaxy at us that's sluicing us pretty bad. It's making it worse. It's amplifying everything that's going on. This is very big. This has happened before, okay, on a grand scale. Our sun is now in solar maximum, and it is shooting CMEs at us, okay? And they're getting worse and worse and worse. What's going to happen first is we're going to have an X-class CME pound us back to the Stone Age. Everything on our planet is going to fry from it. Do you know what the Carrington event is?
Are
you aware?
I was watching Daryl.
Okay.
No, I'm extremely happy. If we get pounded back to the Stone Age, that means guess what? We get to rebuild government, we get to rebuild society, we get to rebuild the minds of people, and
You
we
don't
get
have
to
time.
rebuild life in a.
Yeah, you won't have time. Trust me, you
No.
won't have time. The second set of events after that are, we're going to have a micronova. We've been collecting dust, objects, all kinds of stuff. Our sun has created an outer layer of junk, okay? And it's going to blow like a bomb. And when it does, we are not in a good place. ET cannot leave us here. We will all die if that happens. That's the rescue I'm talking about. After the micronova, ET will be able to physically come and get us out of here, and they will. Our job is to become aware, understand what's really going on, and survive the fact that there are people on this planet who want you dead now, because they don't want you to get in their hidey holes that they've built. The governments of this world and the 1% rich people are going underground. They think they're going to survive it, and they do not want you to fight them for it. That is going to happen before that CME hits. That's going to mess you up. As a matter of fact, they understand how long we have, because they're going to bring the ISS down first in about a year and a half, because if that effort comes down on its own, it can hit their populated areas and swoosh down. So they've decided to bring it down. Look on the NASA website. This is not goofiness. This is real. Research it. They will bring it down in a year and a half. They're going to drop it into the deepest part of the ocean. What do you think is going to happen to all those satellites when we have that CME? They're going to come pounding down onto this planet. And there are a lot of them. Okay.
Oh my God.
They
Well,
will
the
destroy
good
all
news
kinds of
is we
stuff.
won't be completely surrounded by space junk like we are
No,
now.
but your house won't survive this either, because if you've got electrical components in your house, you will burn to the ground. It will burn everything. That's why I want you to look up the Carrington event. That was the shot across our bow that proved to the scientists that this is real. Why do you think we went to
That
the
was
moon?
the one that took out the
Telegraphs,
telegram
all of them.
system.
There were no other electrical components on this planet, just telegraph wires, and it ate all of them. Why do you think we went to the moon? Do you know? They were looking for glass, molten glass. They knew it was there because it shines like crazy. It blinks and winks. They needed to know it. You know why? Because it proves we had a micronova. Absolutely proves it.
Well,
Most of the damage on the
the
moon is
iridium
from-
layers every so often kind of do that too.
No, ma'am. The moon is not that hot.
I
No.
got a statement for you.
That's a lie.
You're scaring the
Okay.
hell out of me because I was doing some research earlier about this thing,
Yes.
and they did a topic that was really kind of messed up, and it was in I think it was Astronomy Today or something like that, and they were talking
Yeah.
about Neptune and Uranus. They are tilted
Right?
more into, and it's because of their magnetic fields are being released.
Yeah.
I-
Yeah. Well, when your poles shift, you start to lean over a different way.
But
We're
doesn't-
already starting to lean over. We've started to lean. We're already 38 degrees leaning from the 1930s. They've had to change every single ALS system on every runway in the entire globe multiple times because the lean has been ongoing, and it's changing everything on this planet. This is not a joke.
We've seen Lou, my partner, has a compass in the back patio, and north has changed
Right.
10 degrees in the last 5 years.
Correct. It's a total of 38 right now. It might be closer to 40 at this point, and it will keep going until our poles flip. So we got that going on. When we have that micronova, our planet's going to completely flop over.
I'm gonna read. Sorry,
The-
y'all talk because I'm
Okay.
now thinking about what you're saying and what Penny's saying. You both are saying the same damn thing, really, in more ways than one.
Right.
And y'all
Yeah.
really just got me a little bit nervous, thinking how in
Don't
the
be
hell
nervous.
I'm gonna survive. People, y'all need to listen to the show. Caller that was just calling in. If you got questions, just direct it towards me, please. You're worthy. I know who you are. I just figured out who you were. Y'all just go because y'all got me a little. Preston, you smiling back there, and I don't like the you
He
smiling like
hasn't-
that.
He hasn't said more than 2 minutes worth of stuff the whole show.
I know.
Well, I can say that what Dolly is saying is stuff I have heard from many other contactees. She does have, I think, a more clear take on a lot of this. This is a theme I hear over and over again, saying from, one of the ET agendas is to wake up our psychic abilities. Yes, I hear that over and over again. Contactees as a rule are really psychic. And this is something they are really trying to wake us up to because our technological progress has outsped our spiritual development. And they need us to do telepathy and have the abilities of precognition and work on all of this, because this will help us immensely with the problems we're dealing with now, with divisiveness and war and all the stuff that's going on, greed and corruption, and this is all good
Deliberate
news.
Genocide. Yeah. Yeah.
and
The
this is-
smarter you are, the
I've
more you
had-
know, the better. You know?
I've had Kevin Estrella on the show, and he's part of the first contact group that works with the Ponti. And they are a gray group from the Zeta Reticulus system. So probably not the same group that you work with, but they are also currently involved with making it public that evacuation is going to be soon.
Right. That's why I'm a pilot. When I made my decision, I'm one of the pilots that will be coming to get you. I'm trained to do it. It's a big deal. It's going to be a massive undertaking. After that CME hits and everything, it's going to take about 9 months to a year and a half before the magnetosphere settles and they can come back. You realize there are no ET here, craft flying here right now. They cannot. You remember when Elon Musk sent those things up in the air and they blew up? That's reason number one right there. The magnetosphere is so bad. They have no stable thing. That's why there were so many crashes. They have now dimed out. I'm stranded right now. I deliberately decided to stay here and keep talking about this rather than go with them.
Well, I knew I had not been picked up for service for the past almost 2 years.
Yep, that's about right.
And the faction that comes and gets me uses personal portal tech rather than ships.
Yeah. They can OBE you. They can remote view you. They're psychically tethered to us. I mean, they can speak to us from great distances. So it's not a problem to be in contact with them now. It's just not going to be physical at all. Okay. They are not even going to open a dimensional window to get here. It is too dangerous. They cannot happen. That's how serious our situation is on our solar system.
Well, I wasn't sure about the ETs because I was just talking about the folks that come to get me, and they're human.
Okay. Where do you live? I mean, are you near a base?
I'm in the Central California Sierras. So I'm basically surrounded by bases.
You are. You're in a bad place. Why don't you leave? Leave.
Because I had visions of the coming disaster for 30 years.
Okay.
And I was given a set of criteria. And where I live meets all the criteria for survival.
We need to talk privately. Absolutely. Please plan on that. Okay.
I have been contacted by more than one ET group. And
let me ask you a question. Do you know why all the major corporations are leaving California? Has nothing to do with what's going on politically.
Because they are on the coastline, and everything west of the coastal mountains is going to end up in trouble.
You don't think they're going to start a world war?
I think they're trying to start one right now.
Do you understand from a military point of view that the entire state of California will be nuked? Do you know that? I mean, I don't want to get into semantics, but I am military, okay? I was raised military. My father was a lieutenant colonel, airborne ranger, who is in
Do you know what it's
intelligence.
going to be like 5 years after a nuclear strike in California?
You won't be here. You'll be gone.
The whole point is the entire West Coast, all the way to Colorado, is going to be gone.
Right, I know. So
there is no place in the Northern Hemisphere that's going to be safe after a nuclear war.
True. So the idea is not to be, well, there's other things that are going to go wrong in California too. California is drying out. You realize that, right? They're about to do major serious things to try to get water to y'all, but not. They're going to starve you out. They're going to dry you out, and they're going to, I mean, I'm not kidding you. You won't make it to the CME.
They have been burning us out deliberately.
Yeah, I know.
For the past decade.
Yeah, well,
And
some of it's deliberate, but some of it the
I've
planet's been
seen-
doing. Yeah,
I've seen the map
yeah.
for what they plan to have afterwards.
Can you survive it?
I'm 66 years old.
Oh,
I'm
okay. So
medication
I know what
dependent.
wow. Okay,
I'm not gonna survive
okay.
unless I'm picked up
Well,
and
that's the point.
put through regen. I am not surviving this.
Okay, so you're just gonna stay and keep telling people. All right. I understand now. Okay, that's what you've chosen to do.
I have
So-
chosen that if I'm stuck here, I want to die in the first strike.
Okay,
Does
Right.
that make sense to you?
sure. When I lived in Miami, when I was a kid, the Cuban Missile Crisis, my dad had a rule.
Exactly.
We were first responders. Do you know what that meant? We had lawn chairs and we were going to go sit on the lawn and watch the incoming. It was going to be very pretty and very fast. And that's what he
Yes.
said, you can't fight this, and
If you know that what
Yeah.
they have planned is so horrific,
right.
why the hell would you want to survive?
Then that's your karma. That's what you've decided to do. That's good.
Now,
we don't die, really,
I don't think I'm going to be allowed to. I've had 10 NDEs and I'm still here.
Contactees are remarkably resilient. And I just want to, sort of underline that this may sound scary and traumatic and doom and gloom, but it's really not. This is one of the reasons, Dolly, I think it was so important for me that she came forward, is to let people know that the ET contact experience is being badly misrepresented. It's not negative. There is no ET threat. They are here to help us. And what is happening to our planet, our governments have never had our best interests in mind.
No.
Really, from the beginning. It's been a very brutal world. It's gotten a lot better, but we're still having
I don't
enormous
think it's
problems.
gotten better. I think the biggest problems we have are religion and politics.
Yeah, but in some ways, there's been a strong movement towards human rights and equality, and recognizing that women are equal and all people.
Have you taken a look at what's coming out of the Supreme Court?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you look back to 200, 300 years when women were property and couldn't vote,
It wasn't.
but my point is,
30 years ago in California, I was property. I could not get medical treatment without my husband's signature.
Right. But so that's changed. There is some good things that have changed. But my point is that ultimately what's happening is going to be very traumatic, but it's really good news because we are on a pathway that is not sustainable.
Right.
And if people have to pass away, that's fine. There is life after death. Death is a lie. It does not exist.
I've been dead 10 times in this incarnation.
So you already
And
know.
There's continuity. I know I'm not going to be dead just because the body's gone.
So
Right.
I just want people to know this, that, this is not doom and gloom. This is really good news. Finally, we're going to have some change that's meaningful, and we can actually move to a life that is not based on money and greed and power and divisiveness. This is good news. It's something we should all be very happy about.
Right. And ET knows that there are those that are going to survive, and they are not going to leave them here for the grand finale. They are going to get them the heck out of here and bring them to a place where they can live and be happy and finish their karma and live lives, because they are
the faction I serve with out there has told me that if they ever get news that I'm actually physically dead, that they will redial and come get me, and that I will be put through regen, and that I will get to spend the rest of my incarnation with them until regen no longer works. They thought that was reassuring.
Okay.
So those are my options: to actually be really dead when this thing strikes, or be a perpetual slave to a faction that I serve for free in a military. and have to kill people. Now, which would you rather do?
I would walk away from that, absolutely. Did you read the book, right? The first half.
I read
So
the
you-
first half.
Okay, so you know that I was in an MK5 intake facility while they were testing me out. They'd been trying to get their hands on me. They finally found a way to get my dad to agree to, innocently think he was having me psychically tested. He had a general tell him to get me out, and he did. They rescued me from it.
My family was targeted by the OSS. And I was genetically modified before I was born. And the OSS considered me their personal property and created the 13 by 13 by 13 cubic hierarchical array of altars. And they have rented each of those out to a different agency. So I am in perpetual slavery in this incarnation. So personally, I'd like for it to be done. I've done my time.
Yeah.
The service that I have memory of is
Mhm.
approximately 5,000 years. And I've only reintegrated 32 of those altars. So I have no idea how many times I've been used for what, for how long. And I feel old as hell. And I'm tired.
Yeah, no, I know I'm old as hell.
And,
I'm
and
older than I am. So-
I'm way older than the calendar age, and I'm tired. And being public ages you faster than not. And it's just been, I mean, Daryl talks me out of the blues on the regular because I'm just tired.
And
then I
will be
get-
back at work again tonight, talking to Penny. Penny, keep the fight going. Don't give up. Don't you quit. You don't know how to quit. You know how it feels to win. That's all you want to do. Share the world, tell the truth, and guess what? I guess now that the cover is blown, I guess we're going to have to give them more of the facts and the truth. I mean, there's a way that I think, as they say, it is time.
Yes.
I have
It is
been
time.
watering it down so much so that the public will understand what I'm talking about. And over half of the responses I get on Facebook or on YouTube are completely religion-based.
Do you know Lynn Wellington?
No.
She was on Spaced Out Radio. She's gone rogue. She's on her own now. And she's got her own podcast and everything. She talks exactly like you. She's been through the same things you've been through. I met her in San Francisco recently and had a long chat with her. Can I introduce you to her?
Sure.
Okay.
I've been doing this show with Daryl. He gave me a platform. Yes, audience, Daryl is the boss here. So I'm making that clear. Daryl owns the network. I'm on his platform. He is not my employee. So Daryl gave me a platform where I have a voice.
That's awesome.
Saeed Farman lets me come to his 5D events conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only two producers in this entire community where I am welcome all the time.
Well, where we were a couple of weeks, a month ago or so, you would have been absolutely welcome. You would have been embraced. I'm going to introduce you to Lynn Wellington, okay? Because your story is not, I've heard it before from several people, okay? You're saying things that I've heard.
I'm not unique.
Well, y'all, there's a banding together of y'all now. There's where they've said F you to these guys and they've walked away. And Lynn is one of them. She knows how to do it. That's why I want to introduce you to her. There's a couple of them.
Last year, we were making the effort to make me palatable to contact in the desert. And after a year of interviewing people, and there were at least 4 that right as my music started, they told me, you do know you're delusional.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
well,
then,
they would
and
say
then
that. Yeah.
I had to do a 2-hour show with this person.
Mm.
And then we get to last October, the tail end of it.
Yeah.
And Daryl was informed that Contact in the Desert has me on their permaband list.
Okay, cool.
And I'm like, fine, now I know where I stand. Fuck you too.
To make it worse, everybody. I mean, I gotta think. Hold on, before we even go any further. Happy birthday, Preston. See,
Thanks,
everybody
Daryl.
gotta listen. I gotta go for the happy joy moment right now to give everybody a mental break because
All right.
I know
Well, say
it's
happy
gonna...
birthday to me too, because my birthday is tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday, Dolly!
Birthday to
Happy
both of you.
birthday, Preston! You know something?
Thank you.
We do happy birthdays on Global Enlightenment Radio Network because we're humans and we stick together. Outside of that, I told you, Penny, it's changing. And it's time. So guess what? The step of destiny is right there in front of you.
That's right.
Don't
Yeah.
deny. Listen,
Yeah.
and guess what? You ain't going nowhere.
No,
I'm not.
we know people. We'll put you in touch.
I'm not going to let you go anywhere. Trust me. You will sit here, but you won't be injured. Trust me. You'll be good. Trust me. The bottom line is, let's keep the truth out there. Let's keep the truth going. To give people a break because you know something. It's hard out there for people to ingest all this. I mean, I'm giving them proof. This stuff
That's
is
why
insane.
I've been watering it down, was because it was so hard for people. But it got to where it was what I saw coming was so dark. And they would always say, well, where's the hope in it? And there wasn't any from my perspective.
Yeah.
And that's a hard place to be, is you're telling people disasters coming and you don't have any hope for them at all.
Well, see, no. Even Preston is
didn't.
going to say it. He just said it. There is hope. This is all about hope. Honestly and truly, this is about hope. What you got to do is delete the idiots who are saying it's hopeless, like the government, you want you dead, you know, like the naysayers, like the people who want to say you're a demon and all this other kind of stuff. Preston says this to me from time to time because I'm not always this jovial, happy girl either. Every now and then I go, you know, I'm just like,
Well,
just
when
let it
I
roll off you, you know.
when I
Water.
upload
Yeah.
a show where I know I have watered things down to tasteless, and I immediately am slapped with, you do know that you're a moon child offered to Odin and you're going to hell.
Okay, go
I
to
know.
hell, but we're going to have a good time going there, baby. Yeah!
I've gotten to where I just delete those people.
You should. Absolutely.
I'm just
walk
like,
away.
You have no brain, no sense. You don't understand that
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
you need to wake up.
Try to come back.
Pay
Go ahead.
attention.
Go. Preston, go ahead.
You're doing good work. Don't be discouraged. Just remember that this field is filled with disinformation agents, misinformation. This whole subject has been fear-based in the media, and it's a tough road. You're a pioneer. Pioneers never have an easy time at it. I've been called every name in the book. I mean, you name it. I have had all of this stuff slung at me.
Oh, yeah.
And I just have to let it roll off my back, you know, and know that people are out there who are listening, who do recognize truth. Truth is indestructible. You can hide it. You can, you know, distort it, but you cannot destroy it. And what you're doing is really important and helpful and good. So, and
Thank you.
I think you're earning huge karmic rewards for this. Everyone who comes to
Yeah.
Earth has huge respect for, I mean, because this is a difficult path. And I think it's really important that you recognize that you're doing amazing work.
Penny, I
thank
want you to
you.
realize that there's a reason why Preston at this time came and why Preston brought her. I mean, when I say before it's time, I got to do the major growth as soon as possible for this network. I wasn't joking. And it's not because I talked to Preston and I heard about this. I didn't know they were going to talk about it. I didn't
Okay.
know. And that's the key to it. I knew nothing about the interview, knew nothing. All I knew, oh, I was having Preston this week. Okay. And then he's bringing Dolly. Okay. All right. I'm thinking, okay. And then you're hitting with this information. The problem is, people, death is not what you should fear. I'm going to let you know right now. I'm going to tell you what you should fear. You ready? Praying that day that you can die. The pain that comes with it. Because guess what? You're going to suffer before you've reached glory.
I hope not.
And I'm telling you, those survivors are the ones that are going to suffer.
I've been in some bad situations. I have never been in pain. I've NDE'd as well. And I just leave my body. I just like, gone, out of here. Bye.
Got to get out of here. Got to release. And
Yeah.
Penny, you
I don't
have
stay
that
for it.
ability. Trust me.
I think most people do.
If
I
they
think
know,
that,
if they recognize who they are,
Right.
what they are, if they
That's
recognize
it.
what's within them.
that does help.
But
Yes.
see, those people that are so truly what we call faith-based do not recognize. They got too much ideology, ism,
Yeah, I know.
schisms.
Well, it's a way to control the masses. It is
and
control.
they don't see that.
Yeah.
But when it occurs,
Yeah.
you're going to see them outside. The end is near. Jesus is coming. Da, 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 and all this crap. And you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to sit here and watch.
Yeah.
Make sure I have cigarettes and a bottle of whiskey. Preston, you want to join me?
Sure.
Because we can sit there in our lawn chairs, you know, sip a little tea to the victory of watching everything that they created go straight into the oblivion that they deserve because they did the planet wrong. See, you have to remember, this planet is alive. It's a living entity.
Yeah,
And
it
the
is.
things that you put out come back. And this is the planet's karma that's going to say, guess what? I am tired of cleaning up your messes. It's time to just clean slate and rebuild
Yeah.
again.
I don't think, well, I want to tell you a secret about the universe that you're unaware of. Okay. I'm going to give you some astronomy lessons and some physics lessons. Here we go.
Well, we've only
What is
got
it?
about 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, these three things are real quick to learn. A black hole does not make wormholes. A black hole is a trash compactor, and they just proved it. They are now filming black holes, especially in one of their center of our galaxy, is now shooting stuff out of it because it's too full. That's what it does. It gets a certain amount of gravity into it, compacts in all that matter, and it shoots it out like a quasar. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is there is no dark matter, does not exist. That is a failed theory.
Correct.
What you can't see, you don't know, and you cannot optically view everything there is in this universe, especially between planets, because their frequencies are so delicate, we don't have the optics for it yet. But I will tell you that there is space dust and plasma dust that is so thick, they like filaments between the galaxies. It is a neural net, okay? That's what they're not seeing, and they're trying like crazy to make everybody believe there is dark matter, no such thing. Antimatter cannot survive in this particular universe. One proton of it will instantly go, okay? They tried at CERN to build it. They tried to, create antimatter. They created 7 protons. That's smaller than an atom. It's a component of an atom. And they held them in an electromagnetic containment field. Guess what happened? It leaked. Regular matter got in with it, and it disappeared them instantly. You cannot build enough antimatter to make a bomb. Can't happen. Okay, so that's a failed theory. The reason that CERN exists in the one in Chicago, the accelerators, is because they're trying to come up with element 115, because that's what ET runs in their nuclear furnaces, is 115. The reason they use it is it is not dirty radiation creating stuff. It is very clean. It burns up completely. It doesn't have an afterlife. There's no residue or residual radiation left once they burn it. It is powerful. It is so powerful, it creates a gravitational field, a graviton wave. Okay? There's so many things that you've been lied to by so many people for so long. It upsets me. Can you tell that y'all don't have a damn clue? Please stop listening to them. If the government tells you something, go another way in your head. Just go, okay, whatever. Okay, don't listen to it. But do this. Find a physicist society. Join an astronomy club. In Georgia, there's Deer Lake. I go to Deer Lake all the time. I love it there. I've been using telescopes my whole life. Please start looking this stuff up yourself. NOAA, NOAA, is a site where you can go and look at the sun every day, and they will give you the statistics of what our planet and our sun are doing together. Teach yourself. Learn yourself. Learn to use your psychic abilities, because if you do not, you are going to be 100% clueless and shocked when all this really comes to fruition. If you want to do something positive in your life, if you want to accomplish something, wear new wisdom, wear new knowledge on you so that the next life you live is way better than this one, please do so. And if you want to talk to ET, you got to get on board with using your psychic abilities. They will hear you. They will communicate with you. They're not the bad guys, period. That's my last words to y'all. There's so much to find out, so much to know. And ET's first and most important lesson to me in my life, including my father, was know all that is knowable and then proceed, period.
I love your dad. I love him. He taught you well.
Yes, he did.
And I like to have fun, but you know something? Like I'm going to say to people again.
Yes.
You go out there, you do your own research.
Yes. Nobody can convince you of the truth unless you do it. And the only way you're going to do that, know what the truth is to use your psychic abilities, because nobody can lie to you when you're wide open psychic. Nobody. Okay. You can't lie to me. I'll hear it instantly. So does ET. Okay. The second thing is that your knowledge is the knowledge that you learn, not from what somebody else tells you, but from what you learn. Build up, baby. Go for it. Okay.
Well, on that note, it's the time I am supposed to be leaving the show so that Cowboy Bob can come back. And thank you both for coming.
I'm emailing you my personal phone number. We need to talk.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
And thank you, audience, for listening through this.
I'm
Recording
sorry.
stopped.